Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic, and welcome back to the channel. And for you guys, there's another movie review. Today we're tackling the latest movie in the MCU, Marvel Studios' Black Widow. This is going to be a spoiler review, so just in case you haven't seen the film, it is in Disney Plus, and it also is in theaters. So today, I decided, the 12th of July. I felt, you know what, it's rainy buckets, so let's go see Black Widow. And you know what, I freaking really enjoyed it. Now, I was originally thinking about going to Disney Plus, because I do have that and just paying 20 some bucks, whatever. But I figured, you know what? I haven't seen a Marvel movie in the freaking theater since like Spider-Man: Far From Home back in 2019. So it's been a hot minute. But yeah, so before I get into it, I just thought it'd be kind of a funny thing because when I was in the theaters, you know how sometimes when you go to the theater and you're kind of just something happens, nothing bad, no death, but something kind of crazy happens. And by the way, enjoy the Lego Marvel's Avengers gameplay. Black Widow, Taskmaster, all that. Enjoy that. But yeah, so I'm in the theater and there's this guy behind me. He's making all this. He's talking to himself. He's making all these weird noises. I thought he was gonna fucking kill me. And then he comes down the stairs. The movie ends, and we go up to the screen. And they start the post credit scene. And he walks down. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. I gotta get the fudge out of here. So I kind of. Nothing happened. Don't worry. But I don't know where his parents were, or a guardian, or a normal person, because this guy was clearly effing crazy. But and then you get these two little tween girls. Now I get it. A lot of them, you see it online, right? These tween age, 12, 13-year-old girls are just being turds and jerks and whatever. And trust me, I went to school. All right, I went to high school. It was like that. Okay, there were a bunch of girls. There'd be the one girl or two girls where they, oh, she's kind of hot, and then the other one would be like, making all these weird noises in the back. So they were there. So between the guy going in the back and then these other freaking people talking and laughing during sad scenes, whatever. So it was a crazy movie experience. But the movie itself was actually really good. Now I'm going to get into the negatives before I get into the positives. And one of the negatives, really one of the only negatives I have, is that scene, if you remember from the trailer, where Black Widow and her, I guess, sister Yelena Belova are kind of having a little tussle, and they're kind of beating each other up in like an apartment building or whatever, like their little complex. And it looked all right in the trailer, because they point their guns at each other, they fight, and then they just kind of shove it off, and the trailer moves on. So I was watching the trailer, and I'm like, please don't effing do that. Don't have them point their guns at each other, fight like they're gonna kill each other, and then just move on to the next scene. And they did it. They effing did it, man. And I hate that so much because the Marvel movies have comedy, but this is just where it went too far. Because it starts out, they point their pistols at each other, right? Who do you trust? They're pointing their guns, and then they start fighting. And I don't mean like a little bitch cat fight. I'm talking about like freaking they want to kill each other fight, and it was like intense. She's slamming doors and she's hitting windows and throwing plates at each other and knives and guns. Look, it was like mortal enemies. It wasn't like, oh, we're sisters, who can you trust? It was like, we're gonna try to kill each other over here, and then afterwards they're just like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna move on now. It's like, what? It made no sense. And I get it, it was for the trailer, but in actuality, the way it was shot, the way it was handled, I did not like it at all. Because, again, it escalates from guns pointing at each other to a very intense fight. And the fight was well shot, well choreographed, all that crap, it was good. But then she almost chokes Yelena with, like, a freaking, I don't know, bathroom fixture. And then she's just fine. And then they just move on. They start talking, and they're sisters, and they're cracking jokes. And that doesn't work for me. What I would have done is I would have added something when they were talking. I would have had Natasha go, like, damn, you threw a plate at my head. That hurt like heck, or something other than just, yeah, I need to find the red room, where it is. I would have been like, hey, remember when you just threw a plate at my forehead 2 minutes ago? Yeah, that hurt. You know what I mean? But instead, they're just moving on like it never happened. So again, small negative, and I was really hoping they didn't do that in the movie, and they did it. My other complaint would be the CGI. Most Marvel movies have a problem with CGI, okay? I think the only two that don't are Marvel Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. I don't think those are bad. I think those are actually pretty much flawless. And not just Thanos. I'm talking about the whole movie itself. Infinity War and Endgame, I think, are pretty much flawless computer graphic images. And then you get over to, the Iron Man 3, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Civil War, whatever, Ant-Man 2, whatever you want to say. And all of those films have good CGI, but there are moments where you're looking at it and you're like, it doesn't look too good, you know what I mean? And there are specific moments, but this one doesn't really have too much of that. Again, toward the end, there's that big climactic fight in the sky where Black Widow's free falling and Taskmaster's free falling and Yelena's free falling, and it doesn't look too bad. I think that could have easily translated to a CGI nightmare, because again, you can't have your effing actors, falling in the sky to their death and then just hope to God the parachute works. They're in front of a friggin' green screen. But when you get to that element, it didn't actually look that bad. But there were moments where I'm like, oh, that's a CGI person. Black Widow gets shot out of a car. That's CGI. Taskmaster moving really quick when he's fighting Red Guardian in the end. That was obviously a CGI person for 1 or 2 shots or frames there. And it's not too bad. It didn't take me out of the immersion. But, when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, that's CGI. That's CGI. That's CGI. And the thing, like I said, the thing, I'm not looking for it. It just happens. It's just there. And, what do you want to... It's not that bad, but it is noticeable. So other than that, I really freaking like Black Widow, man. I thought it was a good origin story. Again, it kind of hits different because we know that she's dead now. Of course, she sacrificed herself in Endgame. But the actual kind of relationship between her, Yelena, her mom, Red Guardian, or, her mom, something with an M, her dad, Red Guardian, and of course the guy from Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Mac Jonesy, that guy, he's the bad guy. Now look, this movie could easily get political, okay? I've heard there was a lot of shit online, people going, oh my god, it sucks, and I didn't see it yet, so I'm like, I gotta avoid it. But from what I understand, or from what I could at least piece together, and I'm not gonna get political, but I can see how that could go down that rabbit hole of crap, because you get these people, you get this side where they're like, oh, the bad guy is a rich white male, and he imprisons women and makes them do his bidding. Okay, I'm not going to say anything political, but to a certain group, that's like, cancel culture, cancel the movie. I'm surprised it didn't get canceled because of all these crybabies online. But, and then, of course, you also get the element that, Taskmaster, spoiler alert, again, this is a spoiler review, Taskmaster is a woman. Now, here's my stance on that. It works in this film because it works within the plot and the universe as a whole. Taskmaster normally is a dude in the comic books. In Spider-Man, the game, Lego Marvel games, he's always a dude. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of gender sex swap. I think like having a... and again, I'm not racist, so don't freak out on me here, but it's just my opinion. It's like having, and I know they have a Batgirl, but it's like taking Bruce Wayne and calling him Brucina Wayne or something like that. Or having like a African-American Superman who's also Chinese. It's just, all these different things, it makes no sense. If you can have that make sense, that's perfect. And Taskmaster being a woman now makes sense. So again, it's fine. If you can make these things work within the context and not just, oh, it's a girl, like Ghostbusters, they were dudes, and then they were girls for the reboot. Now, I actually freaking like that movie. I don't think Ghostbusters 2016 is all that bad. But again, that was more of an experimentation. They were like, oh, let's just make them girls and see what happens. And of course, it tanked. And no one effing likes that film apart from me. But, that's what they were going for. And I think it does work in this because it fits within the plot line. If they were just going to go, oh, she's a woman, just because, it wouldn't make sense. And I wouldn't like that. But the reason why, you know what I'm saying? I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. People are going to watch this and freak the hell out. But my point is that when you turn things into something else just to do it with no rhyme or reason, it's kind of strange because that's what we've been conditioned to know. Taskmaster's a dude. And, they did it in Solo with Enfys Nest. I'm sure they did it in DC. Now, I like Enfys Nest. She's a good character in Solo. But that's for another story. Taskmaster herself, though, great villain. Very well... I think put together. The costume looks awesome. I think, the fighting styles, of course, they kept that mimicking ability where she can kind of, she, whatever, can kind of watch the, screen or, fighting style of Hawkeye or Hulk or whatever and just freaking do it. Kind of like me and my voices, right? It just kind of, that's how it happens. But it's a good villain. I think it's really well choreographed. And speaking of well choreographed, the fight scenes in this movie rival some of like the Winter Soldier and Civil War, which I think the Winter Soldier and Civil War probably are my favorite Marvel movies in terms of action. They're really well done, and this movie was awesome. It was kind of like Winter Soldier, it was like a spy thriller, espionage action thriller, and it was great. The knife fights and the fist fights and the gun fights, and the action was well shot, well choreographed. I heard a lot of complaints that there's too much action, and I'm just gonna stop you right there. I don't think you can have too much action in a Marvel movie. That's what you effing see a Marvel movie for, right? If you're watching a Marvel movie for the dramatic, crying scenes, watch a drama. You know what I mean? Or watch a freaking romantic comedy. Don't watch a Marvel movie. But I enjoy the action. It was really well done. In terms of breaking up that action with actual, story elements and beats, that actually, I call them the boring talking scenes, but, stuff that actually kind of is meaningful. Because this is your first time seeing Black Widow's, the Red Room and all these different things that happen in her quote-unquote family, it's easy for you to look at it and go, oh, I don't care, because she's dead, and they're probably going to die, and whatever. But knowing how Natasha Romanoff's life ends and how her story ends makes this all more, consequential and real. It really does. It has a lot of consequences to it. Because, watching this movie, I knew she wasn't going to die or get that bad jacked up, because she lives for a few more films. But it's the fight that she does, the fight that she actually... So, now we know that in Endgame, before she dies, not only does she give her life to save the universe, she also got rid of the Red Room and all the bad guys and all the freaked out people that are in charge of that, and the people that were in charge of epping up her and a lot of other people, a lot of other women's lives. And I think that was really neat to kind of, show that, yeah, in this movie she's not only awesome, but, you get that satisfaction that she really did accomplish something really personal to her. And the fact that the characters are really well written, they're kind of switching sides back and forth, and you got, these different Red Guardian moments. Some of the comedy is pretty good. I think this was a pretty good comedy as well. They have a little bit of that comedic element in the talking scenes as well, which was really nice. But I enjoyed it. I really did. In terms of, like I said, negatives, just that fight scene in the apartment and some of the CGI. But other than that, I thought it was really well handled. That black dude she keeps talking to, I don't remember his name, the guy that... He's like British. He helps her out, whatever. He's okay. He's really not even a character. He's just kind of there. Natasha's like, oh, you're a good friend. We have a lot of history together. And I'm like, okay. I didn't see it, but I'll believe you. It's one of those guys, she says, you're my best friend, and this is our first time seeing him, so we're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll believe the hot chick, we'll believe what she says. But in all honesty, though, he wasn't that bad. He just wasn't memorable. But I enjoyed it, I really did. No Stan Lee cameo, sadly. Of course, we all know he passed away. Big bummer there. Great person to live. One of my favorite people to live, not just because he made Marvel. He was probably a good guy, too, I'd imagine. But, yeah, it's kind of weird, not seeing these cameos. Unless I missed it. I know he's not in there, but, maybe they had a picture or something. I don't know. Kind of like what they did with Deadpool 2. But I enjoyed Black Widow. I really did. I was really nervous for it because I'm like, yeah, the trailers didn't hook me. The trailers didn't look too good. The humor was kind of weird. The action looked kind of strange again. But it really it came together very well. And I enjoyed it for what it was. And, I can't wait to see wherever we go with the post-credit scene with that strange lady that was in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Apparently she's trying to get Yelena to kind of hunt Hawkeye because, again, she's trying to frame Hawkeye for killing her, even though we know Hawkeye didn't murder Natasha. That's what she's kind of spinning the spider web to be in terms of this situation, and I can't wait to see where it goes from there. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. From probably an F to an A+ rating, I'm going to give Black Widow, let's see, I'll probably give it an A-. Nothing stood out as, like, the best MCU film ever, but it certainly is probably more memorable than, say, Captain America 1, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, and none of those are bad movies, but this just had that action really well done, really good story, really good plot points. It was just a great movie. It really does. I really did enjoy it, and besides my weird theater experience, I do think it was a pretty good movie to see in the theaters. Again, my only other weird thing was that Natasha in the beginning, I didn't know who the heck that was. I'm like, is that a boy with the blue hair? I'm like, is that a boy or a girl? Like, I couldn't tell. And then they said Natasha. I was like, oh, people had blue hair in the 90s? I don't know. I was born in 98, so maybe I just skipped out on that. I don't know. But, yeah, so other than that, I was, I'm watching it, I'm like, where's Natasha? That's Yelena. Oh, that's her. She looked like a dude. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, I can't wait to see what happens with the future. Again, the intro was great. When they are little kids, kind of leading up to that element. The intro credit scene is also really cool. I was kind of nervous because, you're showing the intro credits, and I'm like, oh, this is going to last forever. But they actually did a good job of kind of piecing together from her childhood to where she is now in terms of after Civil War. And I can't wait, man. It's a great movie, and it really does make me appreciate the character of Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, a little bit more. I always did kind of enjoy her. I started with Avengers 1. When I got to those, I was like, oh, she's just the hot spy. And then I'm like, oh, she has a little bit of character. And she's always mentioning, oh, I've got red on my ledger. And she's always, she's moaning on about the past. And now actually seeing what she was talking about into action and how it actually correlates to the MCU, really good. And she's not my favorite character now, but she's a better character than what I thought before I saw this film. So anyway, without spoiling Black Widow in the comments, tell me what you thought, because again, some people do read the comments first and who haven't seen it. But again, as you know, this was a spoiler review. But again, if you can say without spoiling it, tell me in the comments what you thought about Black Widow. I thought it was really good. A minus. Not perfect, but pretty close to a great film. I think it was really well handled, and I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray. Maybe I'll give you guys a code. Again, if you want to see more Marvel-related videos or any kind of movie review, I'm probably going to be seeing another movie probably soon. I haven't seen G.I. Joe before. Snake Eyes looks pretty dope. We'll see about that. And yeah, tell me what you thought. And subscribe if you want to see more awesome Marvel content. Hope you enjoyed this LEGO Marvel's Avengers gameplay. And yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.